Okay, I think we'll get started. So thank you everyone for joining us tonight for this public meeting for Nevin Plaza 2. My name is Neil Saxby. I am an affordable housing development consultant that has been working with EAH for the last 8 to 10 months as we try to get the Phase II, which is a new construction component, through the city approval process. And I'm joined by Denise Wint, who is VP of Development, Vice President of Development at EAH, and Bryce Lockhart, who is Project Manager at EAH, and Gordana Graves, Gordana, who, what is HKIT, but your position is Project Manager. I just wanted to go through a couple of, formats, how we'll proceed with the presentation. It's an hour, and we'll have about 20 minutes for the actual presentation. Myself and Denise will be going through various details of where the project's at, why are we having the public meeting, and what are the next steps. We do have a virtual component, and we have translation in Spanish. So if you would like Spanish translation, there are audio headpieces in the room just at the back there, if you'd like the translation service. There are PowerPoints, I think each one of actual hard copy slides, if you wanted to follow along to the presentation that I'll be giving with Denise. And Q&A. If you have any questions after the roughly 20-minute presentation, we'll have about 40 minutes if we need that amount of time for Q&A. The way we'll handle it, just to be equitable with anyone who's on the virtual, is if you want to submit a question, if you could just fill it out on the index card, and then we'll take one index card question, one virtual question, one in-person index card. And they're just over here. If you could, if you want to fill one out, fill it out, and then Bryce can come and collect it from you when you're done. Just a reminder, there's no refreshments, food or drink in the council chambers, but there are refreshments outside. And I think that is just all the kind of housekeeping. Denise, would you like to come up and start the first bit of the presentation?
Thank you. Thank you, Neil. Good evening, everyone. So as Neil had mentioned, my name is Denise Wint, and I am the Vice President of Real Estate Development with EAH Housing. I will just go through a few slides before we get into the details of the development that we're going to present to you today. So I will share with you just briefly the location of the site that we are looking to develop. It is at 2400 Nevin Avenue in Richmond. So as you can see on the right hand of the screen, there's a red border between 24th Street and 25th Street. And on the left side, you'll see a red circle pointing where exactly or just the general area of the site. So we are near Richmond City Civic Center Plaza. So just briefly, the agenda that we'll go through today, as Neil just did, was our welcome and introduction. And again, we had mentioned some of the project team members who are here. So we do have the architect, and we do have EAH staff on board who will be carrying the project through construction. We will give you a highlight of the Nevin Plaza development partners, the design, the approval process that we have to go through, which is called the entitlements, and the development schedule, so the timeline for what it's going to take for us to get through the next steps, which is the Senate Bill 35 and 423 approvals. And then we'll close out with the next steps. And as Neil had mentioned, if you have any questions, please write them down on the index card. Let us know if you have the question. Bryce will be able to collect it, and then we will be able to provide the answers. So just briefly with the development. So the developer, the one who is responsible for collecting or working on the site, getting it designed, getting the financing, is EAH Housing, and that's who I work for. We are a statewide developer in both California and Hawaii. The landowner is the Housing Authority for the City of Richmond. We have our development consultant who has been working with us in the earlier stages of the approval process, which is Neil Saxby. And we have our design team, which is HKIT and Luca Associates. So that's our design and development team. EAH was founded in 1968 after the assassination of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. And as I'd mentioned before, we are a developer owner, property manager in both California and Hawaii. I am responsible for California, and the company has developed in over 110 communities in both states, which led up to over 9,000 units developed. On our property management side, we have managed or are managing over 175 communities where we serve over 25,000 residents. So right now I'll hand this development summary back over to Neil, but as you'll see on the screen, it'll briefly highlight some of the key characteristics of the development, and from there Neil will continue on to the more specifics and the technicalities of the approval process that we're currently going through. Thank you.
Great. Excuse me. Thanks, Denise, and to those who've joined. Just as we got into the presentation, I'll be just a quick recap. We'll have a 20-minute presentation for Nevin Plaza Phase II, which is adjacent to Nevin Plaza Phase I, and then 40 minutes of Q&A. If you would like to fill out, if you have a question and you're in person, to those who've just joined, there are cards here at the front and pens, and please do fill out one of those if you have a question, and we will address those questions in the order we get them when we get into the Q&A after the presentation. So importantly, Nevin 2 is a new construction development on a vacant parcel immediately adjacent to Nevin Plaza Phase I, which is an existing building that has gone through an extensive rehab over the last, I think, almost 2 years now. And I did want to point out again, emphasize that Nevin Plaza Phase II is a new construction project. And I'll get into the schedule of when we are expecting best case to start construction on Nevin Plaza 2. But where we're at right now, and I'll get to those details, is we're very early in the design, in getting through the city's approval process, so that we can apply for very competitive funding at a state level. 76 units is what we have designed for the very small lot. It's only 0.5 of an acre, immediately adjacent. And I'll quickly go back to, the first slide. This is the parcel again in red. It actually does take up a portion of the parking of Nevin 1. There will be a large podium parking structure as part of Nevin Plaza 2 that'll have 38 parking spaces that'll be shared by Nevin Plaza 1 and Nevin Plaza Phase II. But otherwise, Nevin Plaza Phase II will be an independent community with its own amenities, property management spaces, services spaces, community room, bike storage. It'll have its own courtyard. It's a envisioned to be a 5-story building. So four stories of residential. And I apologize, I'm kind of jumping ahead here, but I'll go back into a kind of clear sequence. But this is a very preliminary rendering of the 5-story building. To the right, to your right, yes, to the left is Nevin 2, and to the right is Nevin 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's right above. So let me go back to the details. This will be a senior community with a portion of the units as permanent supportive housing or special needs. We have it will have 19 studios as currently designed and 56 one-bedrooms. And the square footages of those, the studios are 412 square feet, and the one-bedroom units are between 530 square feet and 590 square feet. As I mentioned, and then there will be an on-site resident manager, so that's a 2-bedroom unit. As I mentioned, it's 5 stories. The reason why it's 5 stories and not 4 or 6, of course, it's the interest of the City of Richmond and EAH to provide, as a mission-driven organization, as much affordable housing with this scarce resource, in other words, the land, as possible, without it becoming so expensive that it's difficult to finance, which is why 5-story building is a kind of a sweet spot in our world of construction, rather than a 6-story building, which becomes more expensive because of construction materials and the construction technique, or a 4-story building, which would deliver fewer units. As I mentioned, the building will run as an independent community except for the shared parking structure with 38 parking spaces. The design is oriented to create a U shape that'll face Nevin 1 with its own courtyard above the parking, to create a cohesive, safe community all in one, so that Nevin 2 is not turning its back on Nevin 1. Just back to the elevation, there will be community art as envisioned. This is just an illustration. This is not the final artist's design. And that'll be on the ground floor. The ground floor is where the parking structure is, and management services and community spaces. And what you can't see from this, but the U shape almost wraps around and faces from 24th to 25th, and it faces Nevin Plaza Phase I. So here we are today. It's the public meeting, and the public meeting is required by the entitlement or the city approval process. It's called SB 35, which is an entitlement process allowed for 100% affordable projects by the state of California. And as part of that process, we are required to follow a number of steps, one of which is tribal consultation, which we have completed. and the second of which is a public meeting to make sure that the community is involved and aware of what we're planning as we submit to the city for the city's review and approval. What is very helpful in considering the state of California and how difficult it is to develop affordable housing, and oftentimes takes longer than anybody would like it to take, is that SB 35 allows for a streamlined process as 100% affordable. And so once we complete the necessary steps, including the public meeting, and submit to the city is required to process our application within 60 days, as long as it conforms with the design, the city's design standards for the site. So really, best case scenario is we'll submit for our approval process to the city, SB 35, in the course of August. It'll take 60 days for that review to take place. The design, as I have covered in previous slide, would then become an approved project for us to develop our design further so that we can apply for funding at the state level. But given the schedule of those funding applications and when those funds are available to be applied for, the best case scenario of construction start, and really very best case, would be early 2027. Very earliest that we would be able to. Generally, projects like this, because of how competitive the funding is, take a couple of rounds of applying to the state before they have enough financing in order to start construction. And so every round that a project is not successful, it generally has to wait a year before it can try again. So best case would be early 2027 construction start, and then it would push out a year after that, every funding cycle. I think this slide I've really covered. This is detailing the SB 35 process. The city has 60 days to review after the red line, the public meeting. And we're hopeful that it'll go smoothly, and are really interested in your feedback, questions you have. No question is a wrong question. I did want to mention that Nevin Plaza 1 has its own series of community meetings every month. And so while the development of Nevin Plaza 2 is of course of interest to tenants of Nevin Plaza 1, this community meeting, this public meeting is not the forum for discussing any dynamics or issues of the Nevin 1 development. And I'll leave this slide up. This is just if you want to follow the progress of the project, that is the website link. And if you have any follow-up questions or comments after this meeting, you can send an email to the email provided or to the telephone number included. I'll leave this up so you can take notes.
Great. I'll collect questions. Maybe you take the first question online if we have one.
There are no online questions yet.
So since there are no online questions, we'll just go through the index cards once I get them.
Okay, got it.
Okay. So to the first index card, really thank you for this question. I'm sorry sometimes we use jargon that is really specific to our industry. The question is 30 to 60% area median income. What does that mean? And I get tripped up with this every time I give a community meeting because it's quite technical, but essentially what it means is levels of affordability. So that is 30% of the area median income of Contra Costa County. So the units would be targeted to people, households that are earning at those different levels of affordability, of those different levels of income. So, for instance, and I wrote it down here, for a one-bedroom, for instance, in order to be eligible for a unit in Contra Costa County, 30% of area median income of Contra Costa County is $38,370 in 2025. So that would be a household's income in order to be eligible at a 30% level. The intention at the state level is that projects provide a range of affordability so that the community is served best, from very affordable to less affordable, but generally pushing to as affordable as possible. And then 40% AMI, area median income for a one-bedroom would be $51,160. For a studio, it's slightly less because they're smaller units, smaller households, or one-person households. A studio would be $33,570 at 30% area median income, and at 40%, $44,760. To give you an idea of rents, a studio's rent would be $774 per month, and a one-bedroom would be up to $1,120 per month. Will the units have AC? It likely will have AC, depending on essentially the aspect, how the sun impacts the units, and whether the temperature in the units, based on the design, necessitates AC or not. There'll definitely be ceiling fans. Since this is a senior project, AC is important, but we evaluate generally on a project-per-project basis. For instance, a development in Alameda where you get a lot of incoming winds off the ocean may not need AC as much as a project up in Sonoma County. And then the last question on this card is your drawing on last page. Is confusing. What are the stairs? This really was just for illustrative purposes and isn't actually what we are intending to build. So it's really just an illustration. And I'm just looking actually where are the stairs here?
I think it's the podium of the garage.
Yeah. I see people walking upstairs.
Yeah.
This is not our project.
It's
So it's an inaccurate picture.
Well, this is some other project, but this is not the project.
That's going to fix that.
It's an illustration. The reason is our design hasn't gotten to the level where we have any of those details, and that's sincerely honest. We're so early in the design phase that we really just have renderings like this right now. Is there another question? Quiet, Bryce?
There's another question?
I did have a question about the parking spaces, because if you look, currently there's spaces that are designated for phase one, But then when I see your pictures, there is no more phase one parking spaces. Where are those people going to park? If you only make 38 parking spots, that's not going to be enough for two buildings worth of cars.
So there are 38 spaces that'll be available in the following order, and I've checked with EH Property Management about this. There's going to be shared parking spaces. Who would get preference? So Nevin 1 residents would get preference first to those spaces, and then on a first come, first serve as units are leased up to Nevin 2 tenants.
Another question in the back? Oh, this is, we were going to talk after, right?
Yeah, but I didn't put questions up. Who said that?
Use the mic.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, there's a roaming mic.
I'm not going to take a lot of time, but she was asking about the parking spaces. That's going to change everything from how it was, people who had certain designated parking spaces. So that's going to make it, people need to know about that so that they can make plans, because you're going to first come, first serve basis. So that's changing a lot of things around that we were used to having over there.
Sorry, I was confusing. They will be designated first to Nevin 1 residents, and then designated on a first come, first served to the new residents of Nevin 2. But Nevin 1 will be taken care of first, and the spaces will be dedicated.
Okay, is the equipment going to be in the back parking lot also? The equipment from, and they're going to be working on the building? Or they be keeping the equipment in the parking lot? Because there's not a lot of room around there. That's a narrow little space there. Because it's right next to an apartment. I know that area. And that's a narrow place right there. So.
Could you just, I'm not following the question.
I think the question is whether or not we're going to be staging construction on the parking lot. I think at this point, it's we're so early in the development process that we don't exactly know. We haven't.
I'm quite sure you're going to have to, because it's a narrow place. Like I
said, there will be construction on the site.
Huh?
They're going to take the whole parking lot.
And it's there'll be another 3 years with no parking for you guys? I don't know. Okay.
So that's an excellent, I think I understand the question. There will be a period where until the parking structure is completed and constructed, there will be, you're right, there won't be any parking, because we'll be building on a portion where the parking currently is for Nevin 1. And we'll...
I just have a question. Will you be on YouTube?
I'm not sure whether
I hope
this
that
will
you
be...
are. My daughter likes watching the city council meetings. She doesn't work right. So.
We could follow up with that. It may be posted.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
The residents in the phase one use, so they will still be,
Here you go.
their parking.
May I give you this? Yeah, just so that-
Will their parking areas still be across the street from the building? That fenced off area will be our designated parking area, or do you know?
So all of this parking here, when we develop Nevin Plaza Phase II, all of this parking will be covered by a building.
Okay, what I'm saying is, in the Nevin Plaza 1, because our parking area all the equipment was there, they fenced off a designated area across the street from our building. So that's where we'll be parking during the phase 2 construction, still across the street from our building.
We'd have to make this a similar accommodation.
Because we already have a parking space there, though.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to take care of that until they start. I can be clean.
Oh, okay, I understand.
Mm-hmm. We understand that parking is key during construction and then after the building is complete. And we'll be working, like on Nevin 1, with the city and the housing authority to find appropriate parking.
The parking that we have, it's suitable. It'll be suitable for what you want to do, okay? I just want to add that in, so you don't have to be saying, oh, we're going to be stressed out about that. But the parking, because I take care of it, I clean it, I cut down the weeds, okay? So I maintain that parking lot, so you wouldn't have to be worried about that. So just, that's rest right there, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
We have an attendee online with a question.
Bryce, there's one question.
We have an attendee online with a question. Attendee with the Samsung, you are unmuted. It looks like you're still muted online.
Perhaps propose a written question.
Can you hear me now?
We can, thank you.
Sorry about that. Hi, my name is Erica Evans. I'm actually the resident manager for Nevin Plaza 1. My question was, how much in the future are we talking? And will there be a separate application process?
So, yes, there will be a separate application process and a separate waiting list. How far in the future are we talking about? This best case scenario is that if the stars align with all the funding that we need to assemble for a 5-story building, if the stars align and we're competitive, we could start construction in early 2027. But as I was saying earlier, after being involved in affordable housing development for 20 years now, it generally takes a couple of rounds of applications before all the financing is in place to start construction. So every year that we are not successful with an application, that schedule will get pushed out a year. So if we're not successful next year in applying, our construction start, instead of being best case early 2027, would be early 2028.
Got it. Thank you.
I have two questions. The first one is, will there be in the parking any EV charging stations?
There will likely be EV parking stations.
And then my second question is, once the ground is broken, how long do you anticipate the project will take to finish?
For a 76-unit building, between 18 months and 2 years.
Is there any chance that the building, if you couldn't get the financing, that you will make a smaller version of the building instead of the full 5 stories?
It's unlikely because there's a kind of an economy of scale with financing. The smaller you get, the less efficient it is to apply for the financing needed. And actually, a 70, 80 unit building is kind of in the sweet spot for the various funding sources, the limited funding sources out there. Thank you for your questions. Are there any others? We kind of changed the format to more of an interactive one. So just let Bryce know if you have a question and he'll come over with the mic.
You can scratch this question off that list. when you start breaking down the ground, okay, there are tunnels from where the tables are across from Nevin. You know, have you seen the tables? Are you familiar with the area? It's tunnels because when I first moved there, they had the street open. Rats made tunnels. They go from one end to the field, right? And when they started construction on phase one, we had the problem with those coming in, okay? And they didn't do prevention. So I had a question also, what are you gonna do with the businesses for prevention? You know, help them out with the wire mesh to go around inside their businesses to keep those things from coming in there? That's a good question. And I talked to some businesses today, and they want to know the same thing. So I'm representing the small businesses here.
That is a really good question, quite a difficult one for me to have an answer to. To the extent possible, given the limited financing that we have to develop the affordable housing, we will do what is necessary to try and limit the nuisance during construction, for sure. The Housing Authority and the city are a partner on this project, and as we are interested in not disturbing the community.
Yeah, I did have several.
Okay.
I forgot it that quick.
That's okay.
Okay, so Jason has one. Jason, I think I
Okay. We've got a question here.
Yes. My question is, the phase two, Nevin 2, as far as the sizes of the bedroom, I mean, I know you're going to have only primarily one in studio apartment. Mm-hmm. Will the one bedrooms be approximately, I may not be the same design, but the same size as the one bedrooms that are currently in Nevin 1, or do you know?
I believe they're bigger. Sorry, I don't believe they are bigger, the architects here. So, yeah, I mean, it's hard to try and visualize, but a one-bedroom at Nevin 2 will be between 530 square feet and 590 square feet, which is bigger than what is at Nevin 1.
The one bedrooms at Nevin 1. Mm-hmm. That's good.
Okay, I've got a few more cards here. Who will be overseeing this project? The developer is EAH, who the Housing Authority selected, and has been as an established nonprofit affordable housing developer, as Denise mentioned, since 1968, and does fantastic work around around California and Hawaii, and is a long-term owner and manager of affordable housing. So the project won't get developed and then handed over to somebody else. Oh, skip them. Okay.
Okay, I hope I'll be around to see this project. I'm an old woman, you know, and so, but if this does get off the ground, I work hard. I'll be 66 years old, and I'm trying to start a business called Love Where We Live. You go around, clean up the community, and I would love to clean your property because, you know, I'm doing it for the city of Richmond, and I do EAH property, and I wanted to start working on donations, but I do this because I love doing it. I love keeping my community clean. I want others to respect my community, right? So this would be good. Have someone like me. I could be an assistant manager. Hey, I've been a manager before I moved here. I'm qualified to do that. You know, I worked at the state park in Clear Lake. I put in PVC pipes, weed eated, sandblasted. I'm qualified to do all kinds of things. And I need something to keep me going so I don't get caught up in the wrong thing, you know, where I can. So think about it. My name is Elizabeth Woods, and I live at Nevin Plaza, 525, okay? And
Thank you.
No more questions about nothing. I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
Great.
Thank you.
Yes, I apologize for coming late. So I was thinking about the questions that I was going to bring up. But one of the questions that I don't think it was mentioned, I pass through the Nevin building, you know, all the time, and it's coming along great. But I love the outside. But some of the other concerns that I don't think it was mentioned about, like, you know, security for a number of reasons. Because when we had the previous security company, they would oversee, like, who's coming into the building. So I was thinking that if this project does go forward, who's going to be like? Let me back it up. Security, because it's a concern, because I would like to see, better security, because, because people like that come into the building and they don't say who they are, and they just let them go through. So I'm just hoping that this should be implemented, like having security. Right. There you go.
And in response to that, at this early stage in the design, that question has come up for sure. And it's easier to do on a new construction project when you're starting from scratch rather than.
You got people walking in and out the building who don't live there.
He said it's better organized at this time because they can do more up to date things.
Because you got people who
learn from other things. Okay, well, they did this, we can do it even better, right?
We are definitely going to have improved security at Nevin 1 in terms of.
We need better security because you got people who live there.
I've always thought that if you want to give back to your community and you have tenants in the building that want to do something for themselves, they want to get back into the job, then you can get them, it could be a tax write-off, getting back to work, okay? You can give them free rent, right? And a stipend. They make sure the hallways are mopped and cleaned and everything, right? You don't have to pay maintenance to come do that, paying them $30 an hour or whatever. I work for $15 an hour, just as long as I'm working. I just want 3 hours a day. I just want to work. Okay, you don't have to pay me all that because I love doing it. Other tenants would love doing it too. They love where they live. LWWL. This is what I'm about.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
So just for the administrative record, I want to clarify, are we talking about security on Nevin 1 or security on Nevin 2? So tonight's meeting is about Nevin Plaza 2. But Cordell, I just want to clarify, Nevin Plaza 1 or Nevin Plaza 2? 2? Okay, thank you.
And so that my response is correct. Yes, we will have security at Nevin 2 in terms of clear eyes on the entrance and a property management office that is right there at the entrance, and security cameras that'll be monitoring key fobs for limited access. And I just wanted to give everyone a heads up. We will be wrapping up the Q&A in 13 minutes.
And this is the last one. And the reason I say for security for Nevin Plaza 2 is because I pass through there. Some security guards are good, but I don't see them doing their rounds, as frequently. So I'm just saying that the building is good, but it needs to be enhanced, because I talked to some of the smaller businesses along the corridor, and they're saying that every time they pass through the building, it's like they don't see no security doing their rounds, on a frequent basis. So food for thought. Yes, ma'am.
So just to be clear, we're not talking about Nevin Plaza 1 at this meeting. This meeting is about Nevin Plaza 2. The cameras will be for the on-site property management staff. Yeah, their capability will be there. Mm-hmm. There will be monitoring by a security camera company, but whether it's on somebody's cell phone that's employed to manage the property, I don't think that that is necessarily going to be expected. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Thank you, and thank you for your questions. Okay, if there are no further questions, I think that concludes our meeting. I really wanted to appreciate everyone for coming out, and I hope you have a great evening. Thank you.